Welcome to Movie Speeching. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take good care. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is the name of the movie. Please like and subscribe to get every update. The year is 1899. In this alternate Earth, European powers are on the brink of war due to the development of new weapons. In London, a group of police officers were shocked to see the first tank crash into the Bank of England, destroying everything in the room without being hit by a bullet. The tank shoots through the vault door with its cannon before the terrorists come out with their leader, the Phantom. There are many treasures in the safe, but what Phantom wants is the blueprint for the founding of Venice. Britain accuses Germany of robbery, but soon after, the Phantom and his men appear in Berlin, kidnap a group of scientists, and blow up all the Zeppelin airships. Countries begin to accuse each other and war is imminent. After some time, Reed came to Kenya in search of Alan, the famous hero of King Solomon's mines. An old man named Alan begins telling old adventure stories, but when Reed says he works for the British government and needs help, the real Alan reveals himself. It turns out that he often uses his friends to protect his identity. Reed explains that he is trying to prevent another world war, but Alan refuses to cooperate on the grounds that he will no longer fight after losing his family. Just then, a group of strange men come and ask about Alan, but they believe he is real, so they shoot the old man dead. Alan immediately opens fire and a gunfight ensues, but they are hard to kill as they are wearing armor and using modern automatic weapons. After destroying the men with extremely accurate shooting, Alan engages them in hand-to-hand combat, dodging bullets and knives, and even using furniture and wall corners to defeat the bad guys. One of his henchmen manages to escape, so Alan follows him, unaware of the suitcase they left behind. As he is an experienced sniper, Alan shoots from a distance to stop the man, but before he can interrogate him, the man wipes him with poison. When the tavern suddenly explodes and the peace they have built in Africa is threatened by war, Alan agrees to help Reed. Later, in England, Reed introduces Alan to his boss, M, and explains that he is forming a team called the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen to stop the Phantom. Alan also meets Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The ship leaves for Venice in 4 days, as there is evidence that the Phantom will attack there next. Suddenly, a voice is heard from an empty chair and some papers begin to move. Another team member turns out to be Skinner, a thief who made the serum invisible but has not yet found a cure. To reduce his nuisance, Skinner wears a jacket and paints his face so that others can see him. Just then, another team member arrives. Her name is Mina and she is an experienced chemist, but Alan is not happy about having a woman on his team. The group heads off and Nemo impresses everyone with his latest car technology. The driver is Ishmael, the first friend in Moby Dick. While out and about, they are unaware that they are being followed. Eventually, they reach the port to recruit the infamous Dorian Gray, who accepts them only because Mina is his ex-lover. Alan notices that Dorian is missing the painting on the wall and tells him that a witch doctor once blessed him for saving the village, so Africa will never let him die. He also remembers meeting Dorian as a child, and Dorian had not aged a day. Dorian avoids explaining that he is not interested in joining the team, but the conversation is interrupted when a group of armed men emerge from the shadows with the Phantom and ask him to join the League. As the Phantom was talking, Alan noticed that one of his henchmen was acting different. He is a former stalker and immediately fires at enemies. Chaos ensues in the room, everyone starts fighting, and their abilities are revealed. Dorian is immortal, so he encounters bullets and kills men with his sword, only for his body to heal itself. Nemo uses swords and martial arts, while Alan uses his gun. The stalker also turns out to be an American secret agent named Tom Sawyer. Skinner takes off his jacket and paint and hits the villain with a book. The Phantom escapes and Alan attempts to stop it, but is stopped by his henchmen. As they fight, Tom tries to chase the Phantom, but the Phantom escapes by jumping out the window into the river. The boys thought the battle was over, but one last man had hidden and was holding Mina hostage. However, Mina's eyes suddenly turned red and she bit down to kill the man by drinking his blood. It turns out that she is the widow of Jonathan Harker, a member of Dracula's murder team. Dorian then agrees to join the team as he takes this attack personally, and Alan allows Tom to join as well. Tom was sent there by the American government, fearing that the war would spread to the United States. The team's next destination is Paris, so Nemo introduces the team to his ship, the Nautilus, which also functions as a submarine. Finally arriving in town, Alan and Tom chase a giant monster called Mr. Hyde, who has been terrorizing the locals lately. Alan lures Hyde to specific locations with calculated shots, teaches Tom how to reduce wasted bullets, and calls his crazy shooting American style. Hyde ends up standing on the roof and Alan fires a shot, causing him to fall directly into a pre-prepared net. When they return to the Nautilus, many of the crew have to chain Hyde, but the monster still manages to push some of them away. When they try to calm him down, Skinner collapses and Dorian helps him up, only to hurt Skinner in the process. Alan manages to stop Hyde by offering him a deal. If he helps Hyde, he will receive a pardon from the Queen and be able to return to London. Hyde accepts, and at that moment the effects of the elixir he took to change him finally end and he painfully transforms into his true form, named namely, the extremely shy Dr. Jekyll. With the team now complete, the ship switched to submarine mode and set off for Venice using a copy of the blueprint stolen by the Phantom. Now the team must learn to coexist with each other. Alan is immediately annoyed that Skinner doesn't wear a cloak to indicate his presence, and Mina learns that Nemo worships the goddess of death. I am upset to know this. However, Alan is more afraid of her than her religious statue. One afternoon, after the Nautilus returns to ship mode, Alan tries to teach Tom to waste less bullets and shoot more accurately, but when Tom asks about his dead son, Alan leaves. Put it away. Meanwhile, Nemo and Ishmael are surprised to find powder in the control room just before the book closes behind them. They give the powder to Mina, who analyzes it and learns that it is the powder that photographers use to make flashlights. Dorian visits her and tells her his secret. The missing portrait in his house is magical and grows old in his place. He cannot see it or lose his power. Dorian also flirts with Mina and drinks, but the glass breaks and cuts his finger. Mina is turned on by the smell of her blood and she ends up kissing him. Jekyll, watching from afar, becomes jealous. His inner Hyde reminds him that women might notice him if he drinks the elixir again, and he even becomes aggressive, but Nemo interrupts him before he loses control. The captain says he doesn't want a monster on his ship, but Jekyll reminds him that he has a dark past as a pirate and that's why he can't talk. Jekyll then returns to his room and is shocked to discover that one bottle of elixir is missing. He immediately informed Alan about it and accused Skinner of stealing it, but no one heard from him for a while. When they finally arrive in Venice, a carnival is being held there, and based on the blueprints, the team suspects that the Phantom will blow up the city. The League begins preparing to begin searching for explosives, but as soon as they reach land, the bombs detonate and buildings begin to fall like dominoes. To stop this, Tom must destroy a building, so Tom gets in Nemo's car and drives off with Alan, Dorian, and Mina, but Jekyll, afraid of freeing Hyde, refuses to go. As soon as the team ran down the street, Phantom's men surrounded them and opened fire. Dorian flees, believing that Skinner alerted him to their coming. Alan and Tom try to fight back, but there are too many men, so Mina jumps out of her car and uses her own powers to climb the wall and quickly and mercilessly eat all the bad guys. As buildings continue to collapse and the ship is damaged, Alan also spots the Phantom nearby and jumps off to give chase. After driving alone and dodging a lot of falling debris, Tom finally finds a suitable building and fires a flare, before Nemo fires a rocket and destroys the building, finally ending the domino effect. Hit. When the explosion occurs, the car overturns and Tom is crushed under it. On the ship, Dorian reveals himself to be the real spy and shoots Ishmael. Meanwhile, Alan follows the Phantom to a graveyard and they exchange a few blows. The Phantom stabs Alan in the shoulder, causing Alan to fight back and punch him, causing his mask to fall off and reveal his true identity. Actually, his name is M, which stands for Moriarty, the legendary enemy of Sherlock Holmes. The Phantom runs away and Alan throws the knife back at him, but it is not enough to stop him. The team then returns to the ship and finds a dying Ishmael, who in his last breath speaks about Dorian. Just then, the ship's exploration pod emerges and shows Dorian heading to rendezvous with the Phantom. The League soon begins tracking him on a ship, and along the way discovers recordings left behind by Dorian. Phantom's voice begins to echo and explains that Reed also works under him and that Reed purposely sent him to form the League so Dorian could get a taste of their abilities. Dorian steals a bottle of Jekyll's elixir, collects Mina's blood from a broken glass, collects Skinner's scratched skin, and takes pictures of Nemo's technology. Alan was hired because he was the only one who could capture Hyde. He can use these patterns to build super soldiers that he can sell in times of war. As he listens, Jekyll notices his inner Hyde is in pain because of a weird frequency in the recording, and at that moment the Phantom announces the ship will explode when the recording ends. That's exactly what happens, and the entire ship shakes as water starts to flood the engine room and drags down some crew members. Nemo can't make the Nautilus resurface because of this, so he orders his men to seal the engine room with the men inside for the greater good. Hyde convinces Jekyll they can help, so he runs into the room before it's sealed and takes the elixir to transform underwater. Then he swims down to the bottom and using his strength, he pulls the levers and opens the valves, which immediately drains the ship and allows it to resurface. While everyone tries to organize things, they get a message in Morse code from Skinner, who sneaked into the pod with Dorian and now sends the team directions to follow. Eventually they make it to northern Mongolia, where they discover the Phantom's secret fortress. They hide in a cave to wait for Skinner, who arrives with a disturbing report. The fortress is huge and the kidnapped scientists are working in factories 24/7 to make super soldiers and copy Nemo's inventions. While the team makes a plan, Dorian asks the Phantom for his painting, revealing that the Phantom stole it just to make him work for him. Now that he has it back, Dorian refuses to fight again. Soon the League arrives at the fortress and they knock down the guards outside with their powers. They sneak inside and Skinner begins placing explosives around the factory while Hyde, Nemo, and his crew free the families of the scientists, but unfortunately they're found by a whole army of guards. A gunfight soon ensues, but Nemo's weapons don't do anything because the enemy is wearing full body armor. Hyde uses a huge metal door to deflect the bullets, giving Nemo the chance chance to fight the guards at the lab with his sword and release the scientists too. Meanwhile, Mina finds Dorian in his room and they begin a fight with blades, but no matter how much they slash at each other, their wounds keep regenerating. Suddenly, Mina is distracted when she notices the magical painting. Dorian seizes the opportunity and pins her to the bed with his sword. However, he was unable to win her heart, so Mina ambushed him from behind and pinned him into a wall with her own sword. She then forces Dorian to look at her own painting, and her spell breaks, giving back all the years that the painting took from him before Dorian died. Alan and Tom set off in search of the Phantom, who is currently monitoring the crate containing all of the League's samples. They managed to corner him, but unfortunately the guard caught him from behind and had to evade the attack, allowing the Phantom to escape in the penalty area. The duo soon follows him, but in one of the hallways they encounter an invisible man who suddenly attacks them for not being Skinner. While Alan continues to pursue the Phantom, Tom remains to fight this new invisible man, but he continues to waste bullets. Just then, an armored soldier arrives and begins burning everything in the room with a flamethrower, but this time the real Skinner distracts him and burns it as well. Tom immediately seizes the opportunity and attacks the man with a smoke bomb, detonating the gas tank and killing him. Later, Tom searches for the burned Skinner, but he is captured by another invisible man. At the same time, Alan finds Phantom in a dark room and they begin a fight, exchanging a series of blows until Phantom collapses and Alan grabs his axe, ready to end it all. Back to Nemo's story, Hyde manages to get all the scientists out while protecting them, but one of the guards steals the elixir from the lab and ends up drinking more than necessary. He transforms into a very powerful monster, making it difficult for Hyde and Nemo to fight him as a team. At that moment, Hyde turns back into Jekyll and he and Nemo are forced to flee. The monster and Alan try to kill them at the same time, but suddenly Skinner's explosives detonate and the building begins to collapse. Hyde and Nemo escape outside when the monster is killed by falling debris while the Phantom distracts them to avoid Alan's attack. When Alan tried to stop him again, the Phantom showed Alan that his invisible man had captured Tom, so Alan turned to save his attack and the Phantom jumped out of the building. I stabbed Alan in the back. When Alan's glasses are broken, Tom steals Alan's rifle and uses his teachings to defeat the Phantom from a distance. As the box containing the samples disappears into the water, Alan tells Tom that the new century belongs to a new generation, and he dies too. Sometime later, the League buries Alan and his family in Africa, and Tom leaves a rifle in the grave. The group decides to keep the team together and start a new adventure. Once they leave, the witch doctor from Alan's story arrives to begin the grave-shaking ritual. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.